Hey, congratulations, Sam, on Immortal. This is a very different film from a lot of the stuff you've done before.
Yeah, thank you so much. That it is. This one was a real fun one for me to do.
So tell me what brought you on board onto a unique project like this.
Well, for this one, the writer director of my segment is a guy named John DeBach, and I know John. I adore John. He wrote and directed a feature length film that I was in called "I'd Like to Be Alone Now," which was a really dark comedy that dealt with a lot of serious stuff and a lot of family issues. And so that's where I fell in love with him because he has such a great gift for dialogue and story arc and character development. And when he approached me with Immortal and what the concept was, these four stories sharing a similar theme, and yours story would be mostly you, mostly by yourself. And then I read it. It was really something very different for me, and so I definitely leapt at the chance to kind of stretch my acting muscles because I think acting in scenes where you're pretty much by yourself and just sort of reacting to your own ideas and realizations, that's kind of one of the tougher things for me, at least, since I've done that so little in my career. So that's definitely one of the things that attracted me to it.
I I mean, I've watched the film and I watched your segment, and I was very fascinated because that playing Warren was probably very challenging, especially the idea of your, those movements and, the creaking of bones and all this kind of
Right.
stuff. I mean, how did you prepare or train for, something like that?
Well, I don't know if this came up in your research, but I am a method actor. So we saved the car crash scene right until the very end because they did actually break my neck. No, that's not true at all. I mean, uh, in terms of prep, I had a series of conversations with John about the character, about how he gets from A to B, how he's just this seemingly normal guy who, discovers this really, otherworldly aspect of his own life that he would have otherwise never figured out, probably not until he was an older man and realized, hey, that all of my friends are dying and I'm still here. And because of the unique situation that he was in, he discovered it much earlier in his life. And, we had a real conversation like, what if you were maimed in some sort of accident and then just were fine a few hours later? How would that affect you? What do you think your real honest reaction to that would be? And so we had that full conversation, and that's sort of where we wound up going with the our take, our collaborative take on Warren going from A to B.
I mean, your character Warren was actually not only physically, it was also challenging. I also want to say his character transition, because he was going through all these different moods and emotions,
Mhm.
no, from confusion to anger and all this kind of stuff. And you displayed all of that. I want to say like what, 20 minutes of the film. I mean, that was
Yeah,
great.
thank you. I don't want to sit here and lie to you. I actually have not had a chance to watch the finished film yet. So yeah, I mean, I remember what we shot, and I saw a rough cut of the film some months ago. But yeah, no, I mean, I vividly remember shooting there when we shot it all pretty quickly. So there wasn't a whole lot of time for, okay, today is the angry day, tomorrow is the sad day. We sort of shot it all pretty rapid pace. So I was put through my acting paces, and I was definitely up for the challenge. And I'm very glad that John is as good a director as he is, not just a great writer when it comes to arc, but he's a good director when it comes to talking to his actors and making sure that they're on the same page. And the actor has a good idea in their head of how the scene is going to look when it's out there, how it's going to be cut together, what the critical thing that he needs to complete the painting in any given take is.
So how did John approach on to film a segment like this? Did he approach it sort of like a short film? And how do you react? Do you treat it like a short film?
Obviously, because we knew it was not going to be, a 2-hour film. We knew it was going to be this kind of combined segment, no longer really than a half hour. At least from the way I saw it and from my interactions with John, we didn't really treat it any differently than we would have a full feature length, because you've got your 3 acts, albeit each act is about 10 minutes, but you've got your 3 acts. You've got, meeting the character and him being thrust into this very strange set of circumstances. Then the character sort of having his time dealing with that and coming to terms with it, and then realizing what he wants to do. And then the big final act and where it all comes together. So, from a storytelling and filmmaking perspective, I guess we did sort of treat it like a full-length feature.
Was it filmed in a specific sequence of order, or you just treat it like a regular film and you just went all over the place?
It was a little out of sequence, but actually, now that I think about it, for the most part, it was in sequence. We did shoot the car accident scene kind of right off the bat, because I think that was I think we did that on like a Sunday morning at 6:30 in the morning, right when the sun was rising, for our best chance of having an empty park and parking lot. And I remember that park started to fill up pretty early. So we didn't have as long as we would have loved to have shot there, but we got it out of the way. And then we were in Warren's house, I think, for the next 2 days. And then the final house was, I think that was our last day of shooting. So by and large in sequence, but a couple pieces out of order here and there.
I felt for Warren, especially since it was his birthday. So,
oh, yeah, it's what a birthday. He'll remember that one, I think.
So since this part of the film stretched your acting chops, what do you suppose was the greatest challenge for you, since it was a short segment?
Yeah, the challenge was, and I alluded to this before, the challenge for me as an actor was doing all of the scenes where it was really just Warren alone in his home, without any real dialogue, where at first he's more or less reacting to, what he is learning about himself, what he is trying to put together about, did this really happen? Is this happening to me? What does this mean for me? And then going through the steps of sort of testing his boundaries, his limitations. And then, once he's got the headset on and now he's doing his listening phase, that at least gave me something to react off of, but really just audio stuff. And when we were doing it at the time, none of that dialogue or anything had been recorded yet. So I'm just listening to John just off camera saying, okay, now they're having this conversation and now they're saying this, or, because I don't know that all of that had been worked out yet. I even think I remember him saying like, okay, now laugh. Okay, now you're interested. More or less an improv workshop at that point. But, I did understand that we had a tone to keep there. So as silly as some of it may have seemed, you try to stay in the right headspace of where you want to go with the scene and the moment and the character. So for me, that was the biggest challenge as an actor.
To you, is Warren a likable character? Because he changed so much through that.
Oh, he definitely did. I don't know that I would call Warren likable, but I would hope that he would at least be understandable. Mm-hmm. If you don't have to agree with Warren and his motivations, but as long as they make sense, as long as any reasonable person could go, I don't agree with him, but I understand why he did what he did, then I think we accomplished what we set out to do.
Excellent. And obviously, this short segment has to end sometime, but
Mhm.
the title of the movie is Immortal, and obviously we kind of have an idea what becomes of Warren. But what do you suppose happens to Warren after that segment ended?
I really do hope that after Warren has, made peace with himself and his situation as best he could given what he did, that after a little more introspection, he tries to use his gift for putting good into the world.
That's a
Is
great
what I would hope
answer.
for.
That's a great answer. So tell me, now these days, how do you stay creative in times like this? I know it's a really silly question, but I know you. I've seen you through social media all the time, so obviously you're doing a lot of things.
Thank you. I am trying, like everyone else. I'm trying. Playing the stock market. This is definitely a very real wall of computers behind me. I'm very lucky. There are a lot of things I've found that I'm able to do from home that still keep me creatively fueled. I'm tackling 2 writing projects at the moment. I've been lucky enough to do some voiceover work from home. I'm doing a lot of work around the house. Sort of taking the opportunity to finally get to some of those long put off projects. My fiance recently moved in, so we've been enjoying sort of getting her settled, and so I've been very lucky. I've had plenty to do to keep myself busy, both little things here and there, as well as creative projects. And I'm just trying to find the right balance of making sure that I am happy with the work that I'm doing while not overworking myself, and still trying to enjoy this sort of forced vacation that some of us have found ourselves in. So yeah, we're watching a lot of movies at night, drinking a lot of good wine, which is a favorite hobby of ours, and just trying to weather the storm, and hope that the end comes sooner than later, and we make it to the other side.
One of the things I'm actually fascinated is my fellow critics always like post on their social media previously in years before that you're going to be on the Schmodown, and it appears like you're on there like almost all the time. Do you miss that?
Well, I still am on the Schmodown as a
Oh,
manager. If you watch this past season, it changed to factions. So I've been managing a faction for all of this year, and so I'm there right now as a manager and advisory role to all of the players on my faction, the usual suspects, um, because I don't miss competing. Let me tell you. The way I watch movies now versus the way I had to watch movies when I was competing is very different. When you're competing in the Schmodown, it's all about memorizing the very important, minute details in every movie, and sometimes you can lose following the story. So I don't miss having to watch movies like that. But I definitely enjoy the aspect of movie trivia. That's always been something near and dear to my heart. So I'm glad that I'm still involved with the Schmodown. And if people who are watching or listening to this have no idea what we're talking about, I definitely encourage them to check out the Movie Trivia Schmodown. Just Google that, follow some of the links. They're on YouTube. And it's just super fun movie trivia for movie buffs.
so how do you watch movies now? You just enjoy it, or
Oh
not as
yeah,
many movies?
I watch the movies like I used to watch the movies, where I'll appreciate someone's performance. I'll listen for the cool songs. I'll watch for the stylization of how the director wants to tell the story. More as a fan than as someone studying because he's going to be quizzed on the details later.
That's funny. I didn't realize all the contestants on Schmodown does so much studying for a show.
Oh,
I thought you
if
guys just go in there, instantaneously and
no,
just try to
I
outsmart each
mean,
other.
yeah, a lot of the players definitely bring their own, history of being a movie lover to the game as sort of their base level knowledge. But if you want to stay competitive in the league, you have to really do your studying, really do your homework. You have to make sure that if you're watching a movie, you know who directed it, who wrote it, what year it came out, who the fourth billed person is, who composed the score. These are all things that may very well come up if you're playing in the movie Trivia Schmodown. So it's not just about, yeah, I like movies. It's about, yeah, I like movies, and I know a lot about the movies I've seen. So yeah, it's a lot more involved these days than it may have been in years past.
And I think you have a wonderful career because you had a nice long career. You played a variety of characters. How do you choose your projects now these days?
Well, thank you so much for saying that. And honestly, I won't sit here and lie to you and say, oh, well, I only choose the projects that creatively inspire me. Because look, I do have to eat. I do have to put a roof over my head. So what I try to do is, if something comes my way, whether I'm auditioning for it or it's just an offer, I try to make sure that it meets certain criteria of things that I look for. I like to work on projects that I think are well written. And if I like a script, but I don't love a script, and, maybe, they're not making me a financial offer that make me an offer I can't refuse, so to speak. If it's like, yeah, I want to do it, but I don't know, I'll try to have a conversation with the director, maybe about, my scenes or my character arc, or, I love everything about it, but I sort of don't love the turn he makes in the second act. Can we rework that? Here are some of my ideas. I'd love to hear some of yours. And if the director and the writer are open to a collaboration, open to having that conversation at the very least, then it's something that I'll feel a lot more comfortable doing. So, I try to find things that I haven't done before. And that's why I certainly took the opportunity to do Immortal with John. That was something I've definitely never done before. And I'm always on the lookout for roles, I think, that are going to either challenge me as an actor, or roles that I think I'm going to be really happy down the road that I did. Just looking back, I try to think, like, if I were creating a compilation reel of any given work that I did in any given decade, I want to make sure that it's not all the same thing, that it's not all just me playing the best friend at work who's got the quips. Mm-hmm. That's great for, a job or two, a paycheck or two, but I would hate to think that that's the only thing that I say yes to, or the only thing that keeps coming my way. I'd like to be able to say at the end of any given decade, I had a pretty well-rounded 10 years there. And I've been wildly fortunate that so many different things have come my way, either through auditions or straight offers, that I feel pretty good about the varying things that I've been a part of.
Yes, I do believe that you have played nice, a wonderful variety, diverse type of roles throughout your entire career, and that's something to be thankful for. But I just want to bring up one more thing before I let you go, because I want to say 21 years ago, Freaks and Geeks basically launch your career.
Oh, not basically, fully, 100%.
So how thankful and how much do you embrace that cult favorite show, or do you feel that you kind of like wash that aside now because it has been like 21 years?
Right. Well, in terms of the amount of time that's passed, in no way do I let the amount of time between then and now erode how important that show was for me as both a person and an actor, and I will always be eternally grateful for what that show did for me, to Judd Apatow and Paul Feig and Jake Kasdan, who were sort of our three main guys steering that ship. I am forever grateful to them and all of our amazing writers and the incredible cast for allowing me to be a part of this show that was not just a springboard that allowed me to have the rest of my career, but also one of the best projects I have ever been a part of. I mean, it set the bar unfairly high right off the bat of my career, that I compared every job after that to Freaks and Geeks. And beyond that, the way that the fans have embraced the show for this many years, long after the fact, for a show that ran 18 episodes 20 plus years ago, that has always amazed me. I am so deeply grateful to the fans who are with us from the start, to all the fans we have picked up along the way, to the fans just finding it now, that they find this show and that the show means so much to them, has always warmed my heart. Because, I mean, there are plenty of shows that people do that are far more successful than Freaks and Geeks ever was in terms of viewers and, longevity of the show. But those shows just don't have the same kind of meaning to the fans and the people that were on them that this little show does for all of us. I used to name shows, and, I try not to do that anymore, but there are any number of crappy, middle-of-the-road sitcoms that ran a decade, that made everyone involved millions and millions of dollars, but they don't really mean that much to anyone. They were casual fans of the show, and the actors on it are going to go, no, it was great. It bought me 4 houses and a boat, but it's not going to be what I want on my tombstone. And I'm so grateful that with Freaks and Geeks, 18 episodes, short as it might have been, I'm eternally proud of it every day of my life. And it is a true gift to me that I was able to be a part of it, and that it still brings as much joy to people as it does today.
Just curious, do you often contact with some of the castmates or anybody else from that show after all these years?
Yeah, John Daly, who played Sam Weir, he and I have been close since day one. We talk all the time, and quarantine's hurt a little bit, but he and his wife Corinne have an amazing little boy who I'm bummed I don't get to see as much because of COVID. So John has always been like family to me. The others I don't speak to or see quite as often, but I mean, anytime we do see each other, anytime I do see any of the old gang, there is an undeniable closeness and connection that we all know we share with each other, because we all started out from the same wonderful thing that has been so important to our lives and careers. So I always look forward to every opportunity I get to see any of the old cast.
Excellent. Well, I hope there's a 25th anniversary reunion in the future.
Yeah, thanks. Me too. I mean, we had, we turned 20 last year, this year, sort of depending on if you want to go from the start of the show or the end of the show. And I don't know if COVID played a role in us not really being able to do much with that. But yeah, 25 years it's going to get here sooner than later. So here's hoping somebody, gets the band back together, at least for a roundtable discussion. I think I know the fans would like that, since the odds of an actual reunion or reboot happening are slim to none.
Well, during this COVID period, I think that's all the reunions that we're having is like all the virtual reunions. So maybe it might happen.
Yeah, it might. At this point, I would not be surprised. So fingers crossed.
Excellent. Hey, thank you very much, Sam, for speaking with me. I think it's a delight, and I'm sure we're going to speak again someday. And I wish you luck with that stock market behind you.
Oh, thank you so much. Things aren't looking great today, but, it's a new day tomorrow. And thank you for the kind words. This was a real treat for me.
Excellent. Hey, bye now. Next time.
All right. Take care.